Hello, everyone, and welcome to my chat show, The Change Makers. So, today I have with me coach and musician par excellence, Anurnath Dalvi, with me. And hi, Anurnath, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good actually. You tell me, how are you doing?
I'm actually absolutely excited to have you on my chat show. And
So am I.
yes, looking forward to hearing a lot of stories from you. So, let's start with a brief introduction about yourself, Anurnath.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me here. Thank you for thinking that I'm worthy of being interviewed by you here
Oh my
on this
God,
particular
thank you so
platform.
much.
And about me, well, I grew up in Goa in a very, very small place. People often think whether they are a mountain person or they are sea person, but
Right,
I grew up on a hill
right.
around which there was sea,
See,
and
wow.
uh, and usually defense cantonments are created in forest areas.
Hmm.
So there was a forest in on that particular hill, on that
Right,
particular mountain, and there was sea. So I don't know if I'm a sea person or a mountain person because I grew up on both. But
right,
it was a very small place. There's Naval Academy, but it was fabulous. Beautiful childhood.
nice.
Um, my parents, both of them are teachers,
Okay.
and then we moved to Pune for
Hmm.
my higher education
Right.
because my mother wanted me and my sister to have better education, and I think Pune is one of the greatest places in
Yes.
India for that.
Yes.
Uh, then I did my, or I at least attempted my engineering.
Okay.
I think I was a reasonably okay student always,
All right.
so my mother thought that why not engineering? Everybody is doing engineering in India, so
Yes. It was trending
but I
those
dropped
days.
out. Yeah, it is
Hmm.
still trending.
Yes.
And I dropped out of engineering because I was very interested in music. So
Right.
I went to A.R. Rahman's Academy, KM Conservatory
Wow.
in
Okay.
Chennai,
Right.
and I studied there. I topped, and I got a scholarship because I topped the
Oh,
class.
that's
And I went to
amazing.
London, um, to Middlesex University
Okay.
to study further. I came back and I thought that, you know what, I'm going to be great. This is going to be great. I've studied and blah blah. In India, if you have taken education, you feel that you will be able to
Hmm.
secure
Yes.
job and all
Yes.
of that stuff. But that did not happen
Okay.
because I had to go through the regular grind, which everybody wants to go through.
Right.
And to confess with complete honesty, I think I was also very arrogant. Is that I call it the 20s arrogance,
Okay.
wherein people think in 20s that they have a lot of options, which they don't actually.
Right. Right.
But they believe or they feel that they have a lot of options. Actually, you have to zero in on certain things, choices, and
Right.
start to master it
Yes.
so that you can become something worthy there.
Right.
And when I really, really lost quite a few things,
Mm-hmm.
quite a few deals, and monetarily things went bad. That
Mm-hmm.
is when that is when I came into coaching. I
Okay.
got coached first,
Right.
and then I decided to come into coaching.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
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 in as
wow.
brief as possible.
It's been a spectacular journey, I should say. I mean, you've been living in the midst of the nature, and then you came to Pune, you went to London. So yes, it's been an amazing journey. So so let me start by asking you, like, how was your life earlier, right? And how were things going on back then? Like the younger Anurnath, how was he? What kind of a person was he?
Younger, like let's talk in timelines. So age group, you fix an age group and I'll share.
I would say 15 years onwards.
Oh, 15 years onwards. 15 to 21 was a very difficult phase for me, I think,
Okay.
because things weren't that great. Before that, like from 0 to 15, it was great. And maybe that was the reason why it was not so great because I didn't know how to take a loss. I had
Okay.
never failed before.
Oh,
In Australian Army, I don't know if they follow the same thing or not, but if you want to be promoted from above major,
okay.
the rank of major,
Hmm.
they want to see if you have failed or not. If you have never failed, they don't promote you
Okay.
because
Yeah,
then you don't know how to cope up from it.
absolutely. But that's a nice way of looking at it. They don't look failure as something that's like a, um, what should I say, a black spot on you. They took it.
No.
They take it otherwise. Yeah.
No, because after a failure, you have to succeed, no?
Yes.
And once you come up from that, once you recover from that, only then can you apply for anything above major.
Right.
So if you're applying, you have already succeeded. But if you have not ever faced that failure, then
Yes.
how are you going to face that failure once? Because you're going to take responsibility of more number of people than just being a major.
Right. True.
So
That's actually beautiful. Nice.
So that was a difficult phase for me personally, and I think which is one of the reasons why as a coach it is my passion to coach kids who are like in the age gap of 18 to 21, because I believe very, very strongly, especially in a country like India, where we are very, very blinded by education and what do you say, the education style that has been going on.
Yes, I agree.
And personalities are not developed.
I agree on that as well.
A person doesn't know who they are, and that actually screws around with their head a lot later on.
Yes.
Then you see people or students who have gotten into jobs start earning, but what are they doing? They are living from weekend to weekend.
Yes.
So that is a passion of mine.
Right.
Because I had a difficult time during that time, and I keep imagining that if I had somebody like me or like you to guide me at that moment, I think a lot of things would have smoothened out.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a deja vu moment for me, because even I thought the same. If only I knew about this earlier, my life would have been a different scene altogether. So yes, I agree. So which brings me back to where were you in terms of your life, your career, your relationships? How were they at that point of time?
I had no friends at that point.
Okay.
My studies like seriously bad. I did not go for my 12th exams.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I was angry at my parents for something. And my cousin was very, very surprised because I've been a very, very polite and a very, very quiet child until I was in 10th standard. Right. Very, very polite. Like I was the example that they used to give. And then when they saw this rebel me, they're like, what?
Yeah, even I'm finding it hard to believe.
Yeah. I had run away during my 12th board to my cousin's place, and she was like, your boards are done. I said, no, they are going on. She's like, what are you doing here? I said, I'm not giving it. She's like, what? She was eating, the plate fell down. She was so shocked, and she's a doctor. So for her, studies are like,
top notch. Yeah.
She was like, yeah.
Wow. So the rebel, like what brought the rebel inside you? Like what things that were going on inside you?
Anger. Okay. Repressed anger. I couldn't express it. I was never taught how to express it properly. I never learned how to express it properly. As I said, like at that young age, before 18, you need to see how it is done.
Right.
We don't do what is told to us. We do what we see.
Absolutely right.
Even when some parents come to me and they're like, you know what, I asked my child to do this and they're not doing this. I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, whatever I do, it doesn't matter. I'm like, that is exactly what matters. That's the only thing that matters.
True.
You don't have to say the right thing. You have to do the right thing.
Right.
And I think that thing lacked. But having said that, I didn't feel in control of my own self at all. And I think self-control is one of the most important aspects for anybody in life.
Yes.
So I didn't feel at all in control. When my career was concerned, I was absolutely unclear. I was doing music since I was 7 years old. But I didn't have enough confidence to go into it because I had seen enough failures in that direction and I was very scared of that. So I was very scared, very angry, and very low self-esteem. Let's just say that, yeah.
Right. Okay, so what was the support that you found? Like you said, you didn't have too many friends. So in terms of
Mm.
support, how was your family, your cousins? How did they kind of help you figure out? Like this, I'm talking when you were like in your 20s, 20 to 25 age group. So in
So
terms of
by then I had dropped out. By then I had dropped out and I went into music. There I talked.
right,
So because I was doing something that I loved, I was
right,
very sure about that. This is what I want to do, and this is where I have to invest my energies for long-term benefit for my life.
right,
And that I did really well. The first year away from home was difficult. Homesickness was there, and suddenly eating new stuff,
yes,
being in the comfort of home, and then you suddenly go out. All those things are there, but the love of what you do, once it takes over, everybody at some point has to go through this particular phase. Some people go through it after their marriage. Some people go through it when they are going for abroad or out of
Right.
station for study. So I faced the same thing. Nothing really big deal about it. The best part was that at least I was doing what I loved doing.
So I must
That
say
was
that
what-
you were already extremely passionate about music since you were 7 years old, but then you finally found your calling quite late in life.
I'm the fourth generation of musicians in my family.
Yes.
So when now that you called it a passion,
Right.
sure, it is a passion, but I don't think I had much of a choice.
Okay.
Because as soon as I was born, there were people who were taking music classes in my home.
Right.
My father was, my grandfather was. So I didn't have much of a choice. I was just listening to it. I was learning it. I was responding to it.
Right.
And then once you start to get significance from the society for that,
Yes.
you're like, theek hai yaar. I'm getting good at this, so why not? And you get better at it and you like it. So many people like something just because they're good at it, and they can add value in other people's lives through it.
Yes, absolutely right.
I think that's what happened.
Great. So, finally, what did you make a choice in terms of your career? You completely took over music, or was it like, getting into something else? You had dropped out of engineering, right?
Yeah. My parents were extremely supportive.
Okay.
At this juncture. I still remember I was very doubtful should I go to KM Conservatory or not in Chennai. And I remember my mom had tears in her eyes. She said that, you know what, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do. She wanted to become a doctor. And there was an incident in her life wherein they needed that much amount in one day. They could have collected it somehow, but they couldn't. And she lost that. So she was like, she remembered it and she was like, I don't want you to lose your opportunity.
That's nice.
So they supported me like thoroughly in and out there. And my father, being a musician, he was very happy that I was opting for it. My mom had apprehensions because she doesn't come from this particular background and she has seen my father's struggles. So absolutely not unfair of her to think that it is a difficult path ahead.
Right. So that brings me how did you get attracted towards life coaching? Like you were already into music, you dropped out of engineering. So what brought you to life coaching?
This is a very interesting thing now. I had this friend of mine. His name was Rajesh. He was the only friend of mine, by the way, in the 15 to 21 thing. He has passed away. He has passed away a few years back due to a stupid accident. We used to spend a lot of time together, and he was a lot into psychology. He was a lot into giving personality tests and psychometric tests and analyzing, dissecting, discussing. He loved it, and I went along with it. I didn't have any other friend.
Right.
So I was like, अच्छा ठीक है चलो बात कर लेते हैं इस पे भी. And I used to just talk about it.
Right.
But then slowly that thing developed. Another aspect was that my mom for many years was a school counselor. So I have seen her counseling. Like sometimes someone would come home, me and my sister would go inside, but I would see what she's doing there. You listen to the stories. or
Right.
my mother analyzing people and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I knew okay, there is a craft to it, but
Hmm.
I didn't know it at back then.
Right.
It slowly developed.
Yeah. Right.
It never happens in just one go.
Absolutely.
It slowly developed, and then it was not necessarily about helping people to begin with.
Hmm.
To be fair, it was not
Yes.
about wanting to help people. It was just curiosity to begin
Okay.
with,
Okay.
and I was also driven passionately towards excellence in my own life.
Yes.
It's hard to believe that someone who has dropped out, especially in Indian society, it's very difficult to see that they're ambitious.
People tend to be judgmental, actually, I would say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but when I went into music, that's where my ambitions really started to show up.
Mhm.
Because then I would take more time to do the same activity more than other people around me, even though they were also passionate about it.
Right.
But excellence has to be a core value of yours, or
Yes.
it needs to be a commitment.
Right.
That's when it comes into picture. Like the other day, I was just discussing with my mom that one of the essays when we were studying there, Rahman sir has affiliated with Middlesex University. So the pattern that we follow is the Western pattern, not the Indian pattern of studies. So there are no tests per se, not as many tests, but there is essay writing, a lot of subjective writing, a lot of research that goes into picture. So I remember having spent, this was one of the biggest defining moments of my life at that moment, was that I took 2.5 months to write an essay in for the same subject. Other people must have taken like 15 days or something.
Okay.
But when I put in so much of time, those 75 to 80 days, the essay that came out was something that completely dazzled my teacher. Now, what that made me feel was that, okay, if I put in enough time and if I concentrate and try to do something that is difficult, I will have grown a lot.
Yes.
So those things do make an impact on your mindset. And how did I come into coaching? I knew I wanted to do this for other people. I knew that there are other people who are like me, but they need someone to take them through that process. So I used to call it a process first, by the way, just to be fair. I used to call it a process. Later on, when I got certified, then my vocab changed and then I started to use the word system. But before that, I used to always call it a process. I still call it the process, but I didn't know there existed a system.
Right. So it's been quite a deep self-analysis, I would say, You actually thought, you went in and gave in a lot of thought to do what you wanted to do. So it's something that I must appreciate, because not a lot of people really tend to do that.
See, the thing is, the question that still not affects, but that I'm still curious about is how do we increase the efficiency?
Yes.
How do we increase efficiency?
Right.
And that's all. I'm just curious about that. And I think if we increase efficiency of what kind of a mother, you're a mother?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Now, if 2 kids, now both the kids are going to be 2 different colors, completely, personality wise, right? Which means that you'll have to be 2 mothers to them. Yeah, kind of. Yes. And still you have to be just to both of them, giving them fair amount of everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Correct? Yeah. So if we work on your parenting skills, or if the efficiency of your motherhood is increased, the efficiency of your kids' lives will also increase. Yes. What they can do. So that's what efficiency means for me. It's not a machinic way of looking at things for me.
I know what
but
you
this
mean.
way. Yeah.
For that, you must actually read my book, The Lion Boy. You will get a clearer picture.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Great. So, now that you have been certified, you have been on this journey, what kind of an impact do you feel it has made on you?
Made on me? I used to be a very, what do you say? As I told you before, like I didn't know how to be angry. So later on, what would happen is that it used to come out in very, very weird ways, non-controlled ways.
Right.
either passive aggression
Mhm.
or I would just lock myself up in my room and stuff like that.
Okay.
Almost like a teenage dripping its essence off in my 20s. Yeah.
That's nice to know.
So my mother actually noticed the first change when I was going through the system.
Okay.
I had this particular advertisement that I had to score for.
Mhm.
I have done background scores for films, for full feature film and all of that.
Wow.
So for this advertisement, I was making music, and I usually take advance, but I didn't take advance that time because
Okay.
it came through a very close friend of mine.
Mhm.
And it's a big brand. And they were like, we don't want to go with this. And I had worked on it for 36 hours continuously. No sleep, nothing.
Right.
And I did not react. The next morning when I woke up, I didn't react to it. That was the first marked change that my mother noticed about me. And I didn't notice about me.
Okay.
I didn't notice it about me first.
Yeah.
And in the afternoon, she asked me, are you okay? I said, yeah, what would be wrong? So she said, things did not work out. I said, yeah, it didn't. She was like, usually you react a certain way, or there are certain ways you did. But you didn't react that. And I was like, wow. Which means that certain parts were healing inside my head.
Yes.
Just by going through the system.
Yes, I agree.
Just by going through the system. Yeah.
So that's a wonderful thing that you discovered about yourself.
So that was the very first thing within like 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, within 3 weeks. Okay. And then I have seen loads and loads of changes. Like, I keep telling my mother, I don't remember the guy I used to be. I remember what happened to him, but I don't remember who I used to be because I don't feel the same way.
So that's a nice change, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great. So now that you have shared, so much about yourself, why do you think these days coaching is so important or should be taken by people? Because a lot of times when we talk to people, people don't have too much of clarity in terms of what coaching is all about. And for those who really have, don't tend to see the impact it can have in their lives. So what is your say for these kind of people?
This is a very, very long answer, but I'm going to try to cut it short.
Yeah.
So I see people, whatever they want to invest in themselves, that's how I look at them and think that if you're wanting to invest this much amount of time, this much amount of money, this much amount of resources in yourself, that's how much you think you're worth.
Right.
If you think that you're not worth it, you're not going to invest in yourself.
Right.
If you buy a Rolls Royce, okay, you're going to do everything to maintain it. Okay. Yes. If you buy a Maruti 800, you're like, it's okay.
I know.
It's okay. It's like spending 2,000 rupees, 3,000 rupees per year is going to be like, now it's servicing time. But for Rolls Royce, I don't want it to, change at all. I want to keep it spick and span.
Absolutely.
Do you consider yourself Rolls Royce? Do you consider yourself Maruti 800? It is very, very... People, you mentioned one thing. People are not clear. But are they clear about not being clear?
I don't think so.
Right? See, the thing is, you know how computing happens. Computing is very, very simple. Input, processing,
output. Yeah. Done. Yes.
Input, you need to put information inside. We are wired in the last 2 million years of our brain, which has evolved from reptilian brain to so many other parts of our brain have developed over a course of time. That we want to come to a conclusion as quickly as possible because there was a time when quickness was demanded for your survival.
Yes.
If you are a hunter and if you hear a leaf move and if you don't respond to it quickly, it might be life and death situation for you.
Yes.
You might die.
Yeah. Right.
So our brain has taken that thing into account, that particular information into account. We behave the same way even though our environment has changed.
Yes.
We are still under threat of the forest life or whatever, the wildlife. Okay. And we try to respond to situations the same way. What happens is 10% data comes in the computing analogy. 10% data comes in, 90% is assumption.
Yes.
Which people beyond a certain age call as experience. But it is not experience. It's their response to what they have faced.
Yes, absolutely.
If the same situation would have come to somebody else with the same kind of personality, with the same kind of background, maybe that person would have responded differently, and maybe that life would have gone in a different direction. But they don't take that into account. So for your question of people don't have clarity, but are they clear about not having clarity? And what do they consider themselves as? The other day I was watching this particular video of Warren Buffett. I'm extremely inspired by that man. He has lived a very, very disciplined life and done things in a very, very disciplined manner in his investment career.
Right.
So he asked, how about I give you any car you want? He asked this question to a bunch of students. How about I give you any car you want? Okay. Which one will you have? Now you'll ask me, what's the catch? The catch is you're going to have only one car. Now let's take that analogy for your body and for your mind. You have only one body and you have only one mind.
Right.
What are you going to do with it? So my take on whether people need coaching, I think everybody needed coaching yesterday, but today is what we have. Right.
Sure.
If you also mentioned this, that what would have happened to you if you would have gotten this thing a little earlier in your life?
Yes.
Certain trajectories would have been different.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Without
certain things you wouldn't have done. Certain things you would have done.
Yeah. True.
Right. So also people know what is right and what is wrong. An overweight person knows he or she shouldn't be eating the sweet. So what does a coach do exactly? They teach them tools, techniques, the why, and everything, and how. The most important is how. How. A great coach teaches how to take the right decision, stick to it, and create a life out of that right decision.
Right, absolutely.
So everybody needs it, but to each his own. They need to understand it themselves. They need to come 50 steps, and we need, as coaches, we need to go 50 steps towards them. That's how I look at it.
Right. I like the perspective that you gave just now. I'm going to retain that in my head. I liked it. Yeah, absolutely. So, coming back to living the life of your dreams, So, as a young adolescent, you must have thought something about what kind of life you wanted to live. And now that you are in the coaching journey, you have a lot more clarity and you know how to go about it. So, how close are you today to living to the life of your dreams? I mean, are they like really close? They're still away? How is it going?
Your goal is going to be a moving target. I think the greatest change is that I have made peace with it.
Okay.
Because as an ambitious person, you have to understand that your goal is always going to be a moving target. If it is not something which goes beyond your own life, then it's not worth having.
Right. True.
So it is never going to be fulfilled per se. Now, dream life. What do you need for a dream life? For me, personally, it is good food, good people around who are healthy-minded, who are honest and truthful, and who can take my honesty and my truth, and who can receive my help, who I can receive help from, and I am able to work, with my body, with my mind, with my spirit, to doing the things that I am passionate about.
Right.
Am I making a lot more money than before? Yes, I am. Not just through coaching, but also through music. Because the moment I changed my mindset through the system that I went through, I started to get shows left, right, and center. I have no clue still how that works, but I know it works.
Yes.
I know when you change your mindset, things start to respond.
Right.
It's just how it
Absolutely.
is.
Good.
And so how close am I? I'm definitely closer than where I was 2 years back,
Okay.
or 2.5 years back.
Right.
How far am I? It is always going to be a moving target.
Right.
And that's how I would like it to be. But I've made peace with it.
Right. Amazing. So, yeah, while before we end the show, what I want is, of course, I want to listen to a lovely piece of music from you, because I have heard a few bits and pieces on Facebook and on Clubhouse as well. But so we have had enough of serious talks now. So we will just have the fun part now. Okay, so I'll just quickly ask you a few rapid fire questions. Okay,
Yeah.
and you have to answer them quickly.
Cool.
Right. So, so what's your favorite type of music?
Indian classical.
Have you ever written a song for someone?
Yes.
What is the one thing you wish you enjoyed more?
What did I wish I enjoyed more? I think I should have enjoyed my teenage years more.
Okay. So, physical strength or mental strength?
Mental strength.
Okay. Are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
Introvert.
Okay. So, what is your guilty pleasure?
What is my guilty pleasure? What is my... I don't know what my guilty pleasure is.
Wow. I'm making you think.
Yeah, I don't know what my... But because I don't necessarily feel guilty. But I love to sometimes binge watch. Sometimes, very rarely.
Okay.
But I sometimes like to just watch 3 to 4 episodes of something. I think that is my guilty pleasure.
All right. Okay. So, what secret about the universe would you want to learn?
What secret about the universe? Are there aliens out there? I think that is my curiosity, really. Or rather, even more so, that are they watching us?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds interesting. Absolutely. So, if you could go back in time and change history, what would you change?
I think I would change. I would change the War of Panipat.
Wow. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Because that is when India got so weak that the Britishers could enter.
Yeah.
That's one of the most defining moments of India's history. The Third War of Panipat.
Right. Okay. So, okay. What do you most dislike about the Zoom meetings?
What do I dislike most about Zoom? I don't necessarily dislike anything about it. I think they are working on their efficiency.
Okay.
They have created such an amazing app, genuinely.
Okay.
But I think they are working on how to make it lighter and lighter, so that it is more efficient.
Okay.
It's difficult to do it at this speed.
Okay, the last one. So, what is the one funniest thing you have witnessed during a Zoom meeting?
Witnessed. I have not actually. I have not witnessed anything funny. I have done something funny though.
Okay, just share it then.
There was this weird timing that we have a pet at home.
Okay.
And he loves to tear clothes.
Oh, okay.
So he picked up one of my old kurtas, but his timing was such. Somebody much older to me on a Zoom meeting, coach training call actually. Coach training call. Somebody asked me a question, which which needed me to respond in a certain way, and suddenly he was walking from here, literally from in front of me, and I said, "Oh shit, there you go." And everybody started laughing, and I said, "No, not to you."
That's hilarious. Oh God.
And
Oh
even that person started to laugh when she realized that it was not for her.
God.
Yeah, I was caught in a funny moment, but I haven't seen anybody else in a funny moment that way.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been an amazing share with you, Anunath. So yes, I'm waiting for that one bit of music that we had decided upon that you're going to make us listen to.
Okay. This is a beautiful song from one of my favorite albums. It's a very old song. तेरे मेरे सपने अब एक रंग है हो जहाँ भी ले जाए राहें हम संग हैं हो तेरे मेरे सपने अब एक रंग है हो जहाँ भी ले जाए राहें हम संग हैं.
Wow, that's truly melodious, Anunath. Thank you.
By the way,
Thank you so
this
much.
is sung by Mohammad Rafi Saab.
I know.
Today is 20th.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
On 24th, it's his birthday.
Wow. Okay.
So
the musician knows it well.
He's one of my favorite singers, that's why. And thank you for having me here, Neeta. Before you conclude, I just wanted to say thank you so much. As I mentioned to you even before that, I loved your vibe. You're not the first person to have asked me for an interview, but you are the first person whom I have said yes to. And the reason, because you gave me like very, very clean vibes, very beautiful vibes, no manipulation. You just wanted to do something to add value to other people's lives, which is also my motto.
Right.
And wonderful. Keep doing whatever it is that you're doing. It is beautiful, and more power to you.
Thank you for those beautiful words, and yeah, thank you for giving time for such beautiful shares. I have absolutely loved listening to all your stories, your journey, and I hope whoever listens to this interview finds it impactful, finds their calling towards what they want to follow, what is their passion, what drives them, right? Thank you so much for your time, Anunath. See you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.